Golden Opportunities is paid for by Elder Productions.
Hello, I'm Lori Steiner. Happy New Year and welcome to Golden Opportunities.
Today, find out how you can help AARP fight online fraud. Then, read all about it. We'll prescribe medical news you can use. We resolve to help you smile more this new year by helping put your teeth in tip-top shape. Plus, discover more behind-the-camera close-ups of Cleveland's favorite TV talents. And how's your driving? We'll steer the conversation to when to put your car in park.
It's time to get GOing, so pull up a chair and join us at our kitchen table for Golden Opportunities. How frequent is fraud? Consider this. Every 2 seconds, someone's identity is stolen. So how can you protect yourself, and where can you turn to for help? Doug Tayek is here with some answers. Doug is the Associate State Director for Outreach for AARP Ohio. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us here on your first show of the new year. Can't believe it's 2016.
I know.
It's crazy.
Doesn't seem possible.
It just flies by.
AARP is on the front lines for fighting fraud. So tell us about the Fraud Watch Network.
Right. Our Fraud Watch Network is one of our most important topics, and one of the things that we focus on the most. And our Fraud Watch Network, it focuses on really on 3 elements. We seek to help our members and people 50 and over, and really Americans in general, fight against being taken advantage of through online fraud, through investment fraud, and then some of the frauds and scams that people can experience either over the phone or door to door or through the mail. There's a variety of different ways, and con artists are really creative on how they can reach into your pocketbook. And so we created the Fraud Watch Network, and it provides real-time alerts and updates on the latest scams, and also helps people understand what's going on in their community and how they can avoid it.
Okay, so you're trying to help get that information out there. How do you do that? Right,
so we want to develop a community of a sense that allows folks to to talk to their neighbors, to post online, to see if they experience something, to go onto the aarp.org/fraudwatch network website and upload, this is what I experienced in my community, or I saw this suspicious vehicle. We want to build a community around this, and then we also have some local events that we do. Our volunteers and staff are happy to make 15-minute to hour-long presentations to any group on exactly this topic, and then we also have some community events where we're actively helping people stay safe. Generally, these are our community shred-a-thons, where we'll partner with, for example, Tri-C. Last year we worked with Tri-C, and we had at the Tri-C West Campus a big shred-a-thon where we had a paper shredding truck, and then a company that also destroys computer hard drives and cell phones and things where there's vulnerable data on those devices, and they pulverize them so that if somebody were to break in your house or acquire that somehow, they can't take your data. And so that was very successful. We also partnered with the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department on that, so that they would destroy old medicine.
Okay, great.
So that and that's a whole other issue, but that's part of fraud. So
you've got a lot of events, I'm sure, planned in 2016. But in between events, what is it that we can do?
Well, you can absolutely sign up for our Fraud Watch alerts. Again, on our website, and these when you sign up, these will give you email alerts on what's going on in your neighborhood. And also, if you see us in person, and I'm going to do this, you can sign up to receive our Fraud Watch alerts in person. If you see AARP at an event, you can see those we'll have those postcards everywhere, and that'll just get you enrolled. And then you can also, if you're not online, you can call 1-877-908-3360, and you can talk with an AARP representative who will connect you to the Fraud Watch materials. They'll be mailed to you, and then you can receive information that way if you're not online.
Great. So we are at the beginning of the new year, as you pointed out. Yeah. So what are some resolutions we should make? Well,
you should really, if you really want to be safe, the first thing you should do is think about your passwords. Online passwords they're so prevalent, and we have passwords for everything, right? Whether it's banking or your cell phone or just your Facebook page. And so if you really want to have a safe and reliable password, don't use the same password for every site. Right? You want to make sure that you use capital letters, lowercase letters, symbols, numbers, and also what's really important is if you can use something that is really something you only know, right? A phrase that maybe is specific to you. That'll really create a very solid and safe password. And then also make sure that if you receive an email, be skeptical of emails asking you for help for money. If you get an email from your grandson saying that they're trapped in Mexico and they need money, don't call mom and dad because they're not supposed to know. Call your grandson. If you receive a phone call from the IRS demanding you pay...
They don't make phone calls.
They do not make phone calls, absolutely. Which is also, they'll correspond through the mail, which is why it's important to have a locking mailbox. So these are all steps you can take to avoid being taken advantage of and to keep your money safe in 2016.
And sign up for your emails.
And of course, sign up for the Fraud Watch Network through AARP.
All right. We all need to learn to fight fraud on all fronts. Follow Doug's suggestions to protect yourself. And for more help, use the information that's coming up next. Thank you.
For more information, call AARP at 866-389-5653 or log on to states.aarp.org/region/Ohio. Next, how's your health? But first, the tale is told that in 1937, sewing machine heiress Daisy Singer Alexander stitched together a unique way to handle her will. She bottled it. Then she tossed the bottle in the bay, or actually the Thames River near London. Where did her will wash up? And is this tale true? We'll fish out the answer when we return.
Hilltop Village Apartments is retirement living at its best. Residents enjoy a wide variety of activities and living services with all large first-floor apartments, private screened-in patios with beautiful park views, daily dining room meals, free laundry facilities, 24-hour staff, and so much more. Enjoy safe, comfortable independence at a very affordable price. Call today for a tour and learn how you can get your first month's rent free. Hilltop Village Apartments, retirement living at its best.
12 years after sewing machine heiress Daisy Singer Alexander put her message in a bottle in London, it came ashore in San Francisco. The reward for finding her will? Inheriting half of Daisy's $12 million estate. While the family says this tale isn't true, newspapers noted a man did indeed discover the water-weary will, but it's likely no cash was forthcoming.
How was your hearing over the holidays? While it can be hard to hear with lots of loud loved ones, if you repeatedly requested that they retell their tales or you found it hard to follow the family's conversation, it may be more than just rowdy relatives. Dr. Catherine Henry is here to turn up the volume on verifying hearing loss. Dr. Henry is an ear, nose, and throat specialist with Metro Health. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Lori.
Is hearing loss just inevitable?
Well, it is common as you get older, but it's not as inevitable as needing reading glasses or bifocals. I have patients in their 80s and 90s that I see for other things whose hearing's perfect. And it usually starts in the 50s and 60s, although you might not notice it until later. And it can start even earlier if you already have some noise damage from exposure to noise.
Okay, so what does that mean? How's that different?
Well, both noise damage and age-related hearing loss are in the higher tones, although they look a little different. So it just all adds up. It's like adding insult to injury. So it's really important when you're younger to protect your ears from loud noises such as firearms, machinery, power tools, super loud music. And if you can't avoid it, you want to use hearing protection that's appropriate for the kind of noise you'll be in.
Okay, so for those with age-related hearing loss, what kinds of symptoms should we be looking for?
Well, the most common things is that you can't hear clearly and you have to ask people to repeat. Like you're not sure if they said park or part, park or bark. A lot of people have trouble on the phone, especially mobile phones, battles over the volume on the TV. Often you'll have ringing or other kinds of noises, hissing in your head. And a lot of times you may think you're fine, but your family,
they notice the difference.
They're willing to point it out to you.
So it's time to check things out then.
Yeah, and it's really common because it's a high frequency loss. It's usually harder to hear women's voices and kids' voices than men's voices, which is why she can hear him, but he can't hear her. And another thing to look out for is you can't forget something you never heard. So sometimes hearing loss confused with whether someone has a cognitive impairment. And if there's an issue there, you want to be sure to check somebody's hearing to make sure that they're just not missing stuff.
Okay, so should everybody just have a standard hearing test at some point?
Well, there's no agreement on when or how often hearing should be checked because there isn't any good proof that finding it before you notice it really changes anything. But if there's any question, usually the first step is to see your primary care physician, have them take a look in your ears, make sure it's not something simple like earwax or fluid in your ears. If you have earwax, that's more common as you get older, and it's pretty easy to get rid of. And you know, I've saved a few families for you know, over the holidays.
So what if you go to your doctor and they say your ears are fine, but you still have some problems going on?
Well, then you should have a hearing test, and that's performed by an audiologist who's a professional specializing in hearing testing and treating, you know, fitting hearing aids. And if you have a kind of hearing loss that can't be corrected with some kind of treatment, you know, like an ear infection or something, then you have to consider things like hearing aids. So usually you'll get the hearing test, and then you would see an ear, nose, and throat doctor to figure out what to do about the hearing loss that's been diagnosed.
Okay, you've gotten some great information out here for our viewers, so hear, hear. Let's all hear better in the new year. And for help, use the information that's coming up next. My thanks to Dr. Henry for allowing us to hear her out about this important information.
To learn more, call Metro Health at 216-778-7800 or visit their website, www.metrohealth.org. Next, new year, new smile. Looking for places to go, things to do? Welcome to our community calendar. Have a story to tell? There's a place to tell it. Story Club Cleveland gathers the first Tuesday of every month at the Bottle House Brewing Company at 7 p.m. Sign up for a slot, then be prepared to tell a true tale in an 8-minute time frame. If your factual fable is the evening's favorite, it will be published in the group's magazine. For the complete story on this club and the competition, call 773-875-6017 or visit www.storyclubcleveland.com.
I know you're making resolutions to have a happier, healthier new year, and we resolve to help you. How? By inspiring you with stories of fellow Golden Opportunities viewers who made a personal change this past year and are smiling a lot more because of it. To take us through these tales is dentist Steve Marsh. Welcome back again.
Thanks again, Lori.
So these are viewers who decided in 2015 they wanted to do something to make 2016 so much better, and they got a smile makeover.
Right, and so this year we sort of cataloged them and made sure that we had the right people. And some people made the decision they'd see a segment maybe of a space between teeth, and we talked about how we close it, and they picked up the phone. And others had told me it's actually been on their nightstand or next to the kitchen table, and they've said, one of these days I'm going to pick up the phone. And everybody has a different reason. Sometimes people have a reunion, a family affair, sometimes it's a grandchild who says something, but it was enough so that they finally picked up the phone, made the appointment, got to know us, and then we worked either in stages or all at once. And we thought, you know, the new year that you've just alluded to, this is a good time to talk about those people. And,
all right, let's hear it.
Let's hear it and see it. So we brought lots of pictures. And this is a view that we as dentists see and your patients don't see like we do. But in dentistry over the last few years, you know, we used to use a lot of metal underneath porcelain and metal underneath acrylic. Well, no one wants to use metal anymore. And this is a patient who had lost some teeth on his upper right, viewers left, and in the front you can see some of these old crowns that have worn down. And some of the Golden Opportunity viewers, many of them 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and he was a patient. I took care of his wife first. He wanted her to get the treatment first. She was sort of the guinea pig of the house, if you will. But he was a very good caretaker of his wife, and she encouraged him to get some work done as well. This is another patient who came to me, and this was a grandchild had said to the patient, your teeth don't look so good anymore. And so she said, what can we do? And I said, let's look at things in stages. Her lower front teeth, Lori, all we did was do a little reshaping. We can do that very quickly in a half hour or so to make the teeth look somewhat better, and then went ahead and did the porcelain work on the top. And this is another view of that same viewer. Again, as we see as dentists, you can see in the back, we've talked about silver fillings and how we replace them with composites. In this case, we use some porcelain work in the back, some bridge work, all porcelain. And today we have these materials that are very strong, so we don't need to use metal frameworks even when we do a bridge. Again, a bridge is when a tooth is missing, so that's how we did it. This is a patient who's a very good friend of ours. She spends part of the year in Florida and part of the year in Cleveland. And she had her husband come in first, just sort of the opposite. He had quite a bit of work done, and now his teeth look better than hers. And she said, now it's my turn. And you can see those vertical fractures in the picture to the left. And then if you look to the right, you can see those are porcelain veneers. Now those porcelain veneers go over the front and go over the edge to protect the tooth. In other words, the tooth won't continue to fracture vertically, and gives her a beautiful smile as well. And now she can compete with her husband. And lastly, a golden opportunity viewer whose daughter brought her in. Her daughter's a professor and said, we have a family reunion. Mom's very self-conscious of her teeth. You used to have a beautiful smile. She brought in pictures of what she used to look like and said, can we give me something like I used to have? So we did actually reshaping porcelain veneers. We did some bridge work in the back to give her that smile, and she said she was the star of her reunion, and
I bet.
she couldn't keep smiling. You know, she always was smiling, rather.
Right.
Couldn't keep from smiling, and she got one compliment after another. And here's a woman in her mid-80s who was thrilled to have her dental work done.
It's amazing what can be done. If the new year has you resolving to create a new smile, follow the lead of viewers just like you and give Steve a call. And from all of us at Golden Opportunities and from Steve, we wish you many reasons to smile this new year.
Thank you.
See what Dr. Stephen Marsh can do for your smile by calling 440-461-1003 or visit www.clevelandsmiles.com. Next, stay tuned for more TV tales. It's time to get up and go, an exercise segment on Golden Opportunities.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Carbon from Breakout Fitness. Today I'm here to show you how to work those triceps in the back of the arm, the ever important muscles that help us push the shopping cart and even the shovel this time of year. You ready to go?
Oh, no more shuffling.
That's right. All right. So we're going to do a single arm overhead extension. We're going to start by cradling the dumbbell at the back side. Make sure your arm stays straight up above your head. You want your bicep to be right next to your ear. From here, simply drop it down to about a 90-degree angle and then extend straight back up. We're looking for 12 to 15. You want your elbow pointed forward as much as possible. Slow and steady and breathe. How you doing?
Good, I just don't want to drop the dumbbell.
Yeah, don't drop. You don't want to hit yourself. Make sure you keep fluid motion. Excellent. All right, everybody, 12 to 15 repetitions. Make sure you do both sides. And now it's your turn to get up and go. Looks good.
For your copy of the exercise booklet, send $1 for postage to Golden Opportunities, 6105 Parkland Boulevard, Suite 140, Mayfield Heights, Ohio, 44124.
It's time to turn our TV dial back to the golden, but not so olden days of broadcast television here in Cleveland, where the names Fred, Al, and Amanda fill the airwaves. Our guide to all things on air is Michael Shefsky, author of Cleveland TV Tales Volume 2. Everybody loves the behind-the-scenes stories, and you had enough to fill a second book yet, huh?
We have many volumes to come, too, if you like.
All right.
You know what the great thing was when my wife Janice and I were doing the research on the book, so many people that were in the industry came forward and said, we love the book. Have we got a story for you? And, of course, after you check it out and do some data triangulation, because the ego's getting away, you realize that there are so many of these wonderful stories that you have to get them all on paper.
So does this fit to a certain era?
Yeah, you know what? We wanted to get the original days of TV, starting from the 40s on in the volume 1, and we did the 40s, 50s, 60s, into the 70s. This one goes 70s, 80s, 90s, even into today.
Okay, so we dropped a couple names in the introduction, so let's talk about some of those. First one is Fred, which has got to be the beloved Fred Griffith.
Beloved is the best word to put it. You know, Fred Griffith is the Iron Man of Cleveland television. When he was in radio for quite a few years, too, at WIXY Radio. Went over to that show on the other station, did quite well. He was never named the official host.
Really?
They just assumed that, well, I guess he's staying here for good. And he was there for many years afterwards. So Fred is just a wonderful guy, too. He's like every man. He's like the every Cleveland person. And that's why that came across on the screen.
Is that really why the show lasted so long, you think?
Well, I think a great part of it was just the chemistry that went on the air, because Fred was, you know, the anchor there, and he did a great job. Plus, they had some terrific people coming through there, too, and a lot of good co-hosts as well.
Okay, like Liz Richards,
Oh, of course.
Joel Rose, everybody, and the names are just, everybody knows.
Absolutely.
So we had mentioned Al
Roker. Yeah,
he
sure.
started it right here at Channel 3.
You know what? He truly loved Cleveland. In fact, when he came here to Cleveland to look over they picked him up from the station. They were taking him through the industrial flats, and he says, "This city is on fire." He says, "How am I going to convince my wife to come here?" They both loved it here. In fact, he has family that actually moved here.
Oh.
The only reason he left Cleveland is because he got the call from New York, and he wanted to be on TV so that his parents could see him on TV. And I guess a lot of people have seen him since. You know, the funny thing about Al was, I remember we knew Al and his wife when they were here. We were in a restaurant once, and people would yell out, "Al, what's the weather like?" Or, "Hey, Al, what's going to be tomorrow?" And I remember he walked up to the guy in the restaurant, put his arm around him, and he said, "Stick your head out the window." And the guy was, without insulting him, the guy was laughing. You know, I'm sure there would have been a selfie if we had cell phones back then.
Absolutely so. And TV used to be male-dominated a lot. But here in Cleveland, we had Amanda.
Yeah, we sure did have Amanda. Now, of course, we had Dorothy Fulltime was the very first person on TV here, but the very first female anchor. Now, Dorothy Fulltime was actually an opinion, sort of an op-ed person there. Amanda Arnold was the very first female co-anchor with Doug Adair right here on WKYC.
And she was well received. She had a little fall right at the beginning of
her she was on
tenure here, huh?
She was on here for about a month, and she was living on Shaker Square. Slipped in her bathroom, broke her nose badly, had to have a cast on her face, had the teeth go into her lip. Oh. She was in terrible shape. Her eyes were all green, and we had to wait a little bit more. So we had a little hint of Amanda Arnold for about a month, and then we had to wait a few months for her to come back.
Oh man! But people were around her, around Al Roker, around Fred Griffith. Cleveland is a different kind of place.
Well, you know, it's funny because we really do embrace the people that we love on television. And, you know, that's the great thing about Gray & Company is that they are promoting that popular culture and saying, look, these are more than just people on the screen. They are a part of our families. Because if you meet somebody from Cleveland, outside of Cleveland, what do you talk about? Well, they don't know your family, but they do know TV.
Absolutely. There are so many more tales to tell. Remember Superhost and Weekday Fever and Dorothy Fulltime, which we mentioned? They are, and more, all a part of Cleveland TV Tales Volume 2. My thanks to Michael Shefsky for sharing more stories about our city's TV celebrities.
To order Cleveland TV Tales Volume 2, call Gray & Company Publishers at 216-431-2665 or click to www.grayco.com. Next, Driver's Ed.
Here at Metro Health, you know you matter when it matters most. Here, we are the city's best at preparing for the world's worst. Here, we are the only verified burn center in Ohio for adults and children. Here, you'll find exceptional clinicians with extraordinary hearts. So the work we do here at Metro Health makes an impact here, out here, and right here. Metro Health, we're here for you, for all of you.
Who can't remember the anticipation of turning 16 and finally being able to drive? It made you feel old and in control and independent. Young drivers don't always appreciate the dangers of driving, and as we age, we can fall into that same trap and avoid realizing when it's time to put our car in park permanently. Here to talk about knowing if you or a loved one is still a safe driver and what to do about it is my very safe law partner, Mike Solomon.
Hi, Lori.
So what's the issue here?
Well, Ohio, like most states, has no regulation about age when you drive. So it's you have to self-regulate. And what happens sometimes when people get older, their physical abilities weaken. And there was a case of an 86-year-old man who plowed in California, plowed into a bunch of people at a farmer's market, killed 10 people. Wasn't because he was on alcohol, wasn't because he was on his medications. He just got confused. He stepped on the accelerator, on the brake, and those bad things happened.
Yeah. So is the answer that once we reach a certain age, we have to turn over the keys?
Well, my viewpoint's changing as I'm getting older. So no, you don't.
Me too.
You won't. That's just not practical. What is practical is maybe as you get older, you might have your vision tested. You might, have a driver's exam again. Maybe go and have a refresher course. Make sure your skills are still there.
Okay. So what are some of those, hints that we might be having problems?
Well, one might be you're driving at an inappropriate speed. And that just doesn't mean speeding. It could be too slow. Like if you're on a highway and you're going 35 miles an hour, that could be just as dangerous. Or you're swerving lanes. You're having trouble staying in the same lane, or you stop for no reason. All those things can cause accidents. Or another one that happens sometimes as people get older, they go to the supermarket or the drugstore, they get there and all of a sudden they don't remember how to get home. And that can be scary for them and anyone else they're trying to help them out.
That's right. So what if you've noticed some of these symptoms and you want to talk to your folks about that? That's a really difficult topic to broach.
It is. First of all, think about what you're going to say in advance. So don't make it a surprise to yourself. And then bring, the closest family member over, maybe an advisor, someone they really trust their opinion, or a doctor. Sit down with them and explain what the issues are. And if you can't convince them, then maybe say, well, why don't you try to have a driving exam, see how you do.
Okay, what if they just won't listen?
Well, there is another possibility. This is tough. You could report them to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. You fill out certain paperwork, and age, by the way, is not enough. You have to describe in a document to the Bureau what's wrong, why you think that person's not safe. Now, the downside is this is not confidential.
Ooh.
So if the Bureau does investigate,
Mom's going to know you turned her in.
Yeah, that's right. So it is a real problem there, but that's one way to do it.
All right. How about for more information?
Well, you can go to the website of the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. It's going to be on the screen there. Then you go to that website, you click on driver's license ID, then you click on driver's license frequently asked questions, and you get more information on all that sort of stuff.
All right. This is very important. My thanks to Mike for driving home the point that to keep everyone safe, it's important for us to self-monitor and also think about if a loved one should really still be driving. For more information, call Mike. We'll be right back.
Call Solomon, Steiner, and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information or to schedule a speaker for your organization. Or log on to www.ssnplaw.com.
Thanks for joining us. On next week's show, as we settle into 2016, we'll examine the economic outlook for this new year. Is dieting on your to-do list? We resolve to reveal a diet that fixes your physical deficiencies in order to peel the pounds away. And today, many grandparents are raising their grandchildren. We'll raise important issues about being guardian for your grandkids. But until then, please remember to make the most of your golden opportunities.
If you'd like to join our kitchen conversation, visit our website, www.goldenopportunities.tv. Like us on Facebook. Call us at 440-742-GO-TV or email us at kitchen@goldenopportunities.tv. We'd love to hear from you.
Golden Opportunities is paid for by Elder Productions.